Welcome to Forthright, the podcast where we break stigmas through casual conversations. My name is Hannah and I'm your host. So, welcome back. I am so excited again to record another episode. I've just really been looking forward to recording these episodes. Not so much the editing. I really don't like listening to my voice back, but I know that I need to sort of just get over that and get these episodes out. So I'm doing it. We're on episode 4. So that's, like a month of episodes. I'm really excited just to keep growing this and keep the conversations going and all that. I'm loving hearing all the feedback. And I kind of am still just figuring all this out. As I've said before, I'm doing this all myself. This is all so new to me. So I'm still just getting the swing of it and kind of just trying to find the right, formula and all that and structure for my episode. So I don't know, I kind of want to, instead of just getting straight into the episode, just coming on, I think of lots of other podcasts I listen to and they sort of just have a bit of a chat at the start of their episodes and then get into the segment. And then, as you know, I end my episodes with my Hannah's Hot Tip. So I kind of just want not a formal segment, I guess, at the start of each episode. I kind of want to just have a bit of a chat and just kind of about things going on currently and all that. And then I'll get into the main segment. Today I have a little bit of a mini story time, which I did share on my Instagram story. If you're coming from there, you already know. But basically, I had been in a bit of a rut lately with just filming content and stuff. I sort of have just not been having inspiration. I've been struggling to think of things to film and recipes to make and all that. And then one day I had the full day off. It was around 10 a.m. and I had done everything else that I needed to do for the day. I'd cleaned my house, I'd done all that. So I had inspiration. I'm like, okay, I'm going to film a bunch of recipes, a bit of lifestyle. I was going to film some outfit videos, just a whole bunch of content made, and then I can just spend the afternoon editing it. So I was like, fantastic. And I was around halfway through filming a recipe and my tripod broke that I put my phone on. It literally just the swivel type part that my phone attachment is on literally just snapped off. It's plastic, it snapped, it's gone. So once that was broken, it was broken, my phone would not attach to it, so I could not film content. So I was really annoyed about that. That just threw me off. Then I was in a bad mood for the rest of the day/week. It carried on and I didn't have a chance for a while to go and buy a new one because I was just working a lot, so I just didn't have the chance for a while. So then when I finally it was probably a week later, I finally got up to the shops to go and buy a new tripod, and I took my old one with me, and I basically just said, because I really liked that one, it was just basic and simple. So I took it to the place where I had previously bought it from, and I basically just showed them, I'm like, look, this snapped, do you have the same one? And the man there was really helpful and he offered me a similar one, but it was $80 and it was a really fancy Bluetooth one. And I was just saying, I don't really need that. I just want a basic one. And he's like, you know what? Let me have a look at it, the broken one. Let me see what I can do. And he comes back and he's like, I fixed it for you. And he had kind of just melted the plastic and glued it back together. And he'd fixed it. And I was like, oh my goodness, Slay, that is amazing. Thank you so much. How much do I owe you for it? And he's like, no, don't worry about it. I was so happy because it would have been so easy for him just to sell me the $80 one. That was all they had. I would have bought it. And I just thought that was so nice. I was so happy. I was just in the best mood. I was just, yes, this is amazing. So then I did everything else that I had to do at the shops and then came home and I had my bag from the shops of all other stuff I bought. And then as I pulled the tripod out of my bag, it snapped again. So he obviously didn't do a very good job at fixing it. He tried, so I'll give him points for that. But then my heart just sank and I was just in the worst mood because I just had no other chance to go and get one. I was just so annoyed. It is what it is. The message is that was just so nice for him to try to do that anyway. But I was just really frustrated because I'm like, I've had so much content that I needed to film. I was planning on doing it the next day and I couldn't, and I was just like, ugh. So then, I was just really annoyed. And I actually then I was seeing my mum the next day and I knew that she bought, her and my dad went overseas last year and they bought a selfie stick thing. And I just asked Mum, I was like, oh, do you have that? Because I thought I can just make do. It's not going to stand up, but maybe I can stick it to something or put it poke it through a box or something so it can stand up just so I can film something at least. And she's like, yeah, I've still got it. I'll bring it with me when I see you today. And then when she gave it to me, I didn't realize, but it was actually a tripod. It had the tripod legs, and she sort of said they had issues with it because they couldn't get the Bluetooth to work. And I was like, I don't need that. I just need something to stand my phone on to film. And anyway, yeah, I had a look and I was like telling her, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I wanted to buy. She's like, oh, you can just have it. And I was like, yes. So yeah, I ended up after all that and didn't have to buy the $80 one. And yeah, so I was just, that actually made me so happy. It's such a small thing, but I will take it because I feel like at the moment I'm going through a bit of a, I don't know, depressive phase, for lack of a better term. So just anything small that makes me happy is just such a major win. Okay, so I don't even know how to smoothly segue this rambly story time into today's segment. So I'm basically just going to get into it. So today is all about finding food freedom and rejecting diet culture. I kind of just want to have the discussion about the fact how so many disordered eating habits have been normalized and become so common in society and culture. And just even just the use of wordings, the use of good and bad foods and saying, oh, I shouldn't eat this, or I've been naughty, and all these statements that diet culture has just ingrained in our heads and has led us to have such a bad relationship with food. And I just think from my perspective of everything I've been through, it is seriously so freeing to just heal your relationship with food and just genuinely enjoy food again. So today I'm going to just sort of share about all of that, about how to find food freedom, heal your relationship with food, things that's worked with me, things that we need to stop thinking or saying when it comes to food. So I'm just going to get into it. So I think the biggest thing you need to do in order to heal your relationship with food, your basic starting point, is to understand that food has no morals. No foods are good, no foods are bad. You are not naughty for eating a cookie, for goodness sake. And I think what you need to do is just unfollow any social media accounts that are promoting diet culture. So many of them do it, and it's not even necessarily in a very direct way. They might not even realize that it's harmful, but if you spot it, just unfollow it, because you just don't need that language or thoughts just being subconsciously ingrained into your head. And there is definitely room for all foods in your diet. Get your fruit and your vegging, get your protein in, but allow yourself to have fun foods and eat these fun foods every single day. I mean, every single day, allow yourself fun foods. I do, because I think the more you restrict these foods, the more you will want them. So if you're craving chocolate, have chocolate. If you try to replace it with other things or have a sip of water, it's not going to make that craving go away. And you're just going to be more likely to binge on it later, or you'll just be sad and deprived from not having it. So again, using chocolate as the example and thinking, I shouldn't have it, chocolate's bad, so I'm going to have fruit. That didn't hit the spot. So, I'm going to have yogurt. I'm going to have a muesli bar. I'm going to have this. And then you'll just end up having the chocolate in the end because it's what you really wanted. And as well, the more you have these foods, the less power they will have over you. And then also, the more you have them, the more you'll realize that nothing bad is actually going to happen by eating these foods. And then you'll start to understand that you can have these foods alongside a healthy and balanced diet, and you can be totally healthy and have fun foods every single day. I mean, why wouldn't you want that? Like, it's so possible. And to me, coming from a history of binge eating, I always thought, well, no, it was very all or nothing, because I thought, no, I can't even have a small amount of this food, because then I will just eat it all and I will binge on it. And I think it's really obviously difficult for me to say as a rule, because it's obviously so different for everyone and everyone has different experiences. But coming from me and from people I've spoken to, I find that, again, for me, I'm going to just use chocolate for an example and thinking, okay, well, I don't have any control around chocolate, so I'm just never going to eat it. And then when you are around it, you just binge on it because you've restricted it for so long, your body really wants it. But if you allow yourself to have chocolate every single day, it's not going to be as exciting. It's still always going to be delicious, but it's not going to be seen as this powerful food. It's the whole forbidden fruit effect. If it's not readily available to you, it's so tempting and exciting, and it almost, that's where you feel naughty for having a little bit of chocolate. But if it's something that's just in your everyday diet, it's not going to be that exciting. And you'll find that you will be able to have just a small amount, and that will be enough. And again, I'm saying this from my personal experience. I never ever thought that I would be someone that could just have a couple of squares of chocolate and move on. It would be the whole block or nothing. And so if you just make sure to have these foods every single day, the less you're going to have an intense craving for them, the more control you will have over these foods. And again, as I said, it's about zooming out on your whole overall diet instead of just focusing on this one thing that you're eating, whatever food that may be. If you zoom out, say, okay, well, what other foods am I eating today? What other foods am I eating this week? And you just picture it as a whole and understand that, okay, well, I'm having, a slice of cake for dessert, but I've also had fruits and vegetables and grains and protein and fats and all that as well today. It's the diet overall rather than just focusing on the thought that, oh, I can't have one slice of cake because that makes me unhealthy. It's the way that one slice of cake doesn't make you unhealthy in the same way that eating one salad doesn't make you healthy. It's about the bigger picture, and it's about recognizing that mental hunger is just as valid as physical hunger, and your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And if having a treat for you is going to be good for your mental health, if you're sad and want to eat ice cream straight from the tub, that is good for your mental health, so do it. And then you really need to just think about the life that you want to live and how you're going to look back on your life. And really, you're not going to be 80 years old and say, I'm so glad I never had cake for my birthday. Food plays such an important part in our diet for more than just nourishment. Food is a huge part of our social lives, and you don't want to miss out on social occasions because your diet is too restrictive. And I often think too, people that, and I notice this so much online being in the food creator industry, is people always trying to make healthier versions of certain foods. And I don't have a straight out opinion on this. I think it is very nuanced, but the bottom line is I think it is okay to make healthier versions of your favorite foods, but eating the healthier version isn't healthy, and it isn't okay if eating the real thing gives you anxiety. So I think it is really good to know how to tweak your favorite recipes that maybe aren't as nutritious to make them a little more nutritious for everyday eating. I don't think there is anything wrong with that, but it's when you can't bring yourself to eat the real version of it that it's an issue. Diet culture is just always telling us that we need to healthify everything. But what if you go out for a meal or you go to a friend's house and they don't have the healthier version? So for example, you like to make yourself high protein, sugar-free sweet potato brownies, and you like to have that every day. You make a big batch and you have them. That in itself is fine. But say you go to a friend's house and they bring out homemade traditional brownies. Will you happily eat it knowing that it's just a one-off, you're not having this all the time, it's a special occasion, your friends made these with love for you? So are you able to happily eat it, or does the thought of eating it give you anxiety? Because think about that, and if it would just stress you, then think about how healthy your healthy eating actually is. And that's the same with me. Something I was always so obsessed about was with things like bread. If I was having bread, it would have to be wholemeal and high fiber and all healthy and all that. And I remember one time when I was in the process of healing my relationship with food, I went out for a meal and there was something, they only had white bread. That was the only option. They'd run out of the other or whatever. And I was able to have the white bread. It wasn't an issue for me. And that's where I realized that I was healing my relationship with food, because I thought, okay, well, even if this isn't what I would normally choose on an everyday basis, I had no anxiety when that was all that was presented for me. So I think that's something you really need to just think about if you're saying that your diet is so healthy, and kind of just think about, is it only healthy because you are obsessive and have complete control over it? Think about how much balance you actually have. On a similar note, emotional hunger is a valid reason to eat. As I said, if you're sad and want ice cream from the tub, that's okay. But it's only unhealthy if food is your only way of coping. On another note, it's sort of like, for comparison, it's, say if you're really, really stressed and your only way of coping is exercising. That's not healthy. I think it's just important. Yes, you can rely on food to bring you comfort, but you also need to have other coping mechanisms in place. And just please don't view food as only fuel. So many people are like saying food is fuel, food is fuel, food. How many times am I going to say it? But you are allowed to eat for pleasure as well and not feel guilty for doing it. So many people think that every single thing they need to eat needs to be nourishing, and if it's not nourishing in any way, then there's no role for it in your diet. And I just do not believe that at all. And I think obviously it is so important to nourish our bodies with healthy whole foods. I'm not stupid, I'm aware, but you are also allowed to eat for pleasure. As I mentioned before, like birthday cake, you are allowed to have cake on your birthday. You are totally allowed to eat for pleasure. You don't need to healthify everything. Again, it's about the big picture. Prioritize whole foods. Prioritize having every single day fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, fats. How many times am I going to say that this episode? But yes, make sure your diet is consisting of that, but be flexible. Be kind to yourself. Remove labels. If one day, if you're, I don't know, what if you're sick and all you can stomach is toast? I know that for me, as chronic tummy issues, like some days, all I can stomach is toast. And that is so much healthier than having nothing or forcing myself to have, like, what if, like, if I have an upset stomach and I'm forcing myself to eat all these high fiber foods, that's only going to make me feel worse. So it's, you kind of just need to be kind to yourself and just really listen to your body and honor what it wants, because our bodies are really smart and our bodies know what we want. So again, if you're craving the chocolate, have the chocolate. Move on with your day. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't feel guilty. Chocolate isn't bad. And I think it's just more, people think the idea of these foods being bad is because if that is the only thing you eat, you will be unwell. And that is because these foods don't really have many nutrients. But I think, yeah, it's like, well, you're forgetting about everything else you're eating and everything else you're doing to nourish your body. You are allowed that little wiggle room to just eat for pure pleasure. That's why so many people, like, you think of chefs and that's their passion to make food, and it's because it's that moment. Like, I think for me, on a smaller scale, when I make a recipe and I give it to someone, or I see someone eating my recipe and they enjoy it and it's like their faces light up and like the smell of freshly baked banana bread and just all those other little pleasures that come with food, it's so much more than just nutrition. And what you eat doesn't define your worth or value as a person. So even if you don't have the healthiest diet, because again, all of this is coming from the mindset of someone wanting to be healthy. But obviously not everyone prioritizes health. And that is, I'm not going to comment on that because that's everyone, each to their own, your own way of living, you do you. But if someone doesn't have a healthiest diet and they don't intend to and they don't really care, that doesn't make them any less of a human being. That doesn't mean that they're not entitled of love or respect or anything like that. So that's the whole thing, like with foods, it's saying, oh, like, I'm being good today. Like if you're talking about your diet, so they implying that if you don't eat that way, you're a bad person. It just doesn't make sense, and we need to get this language out of our heads. And also remember that it's not a one size fits all. Everyone's body has different needs and reacts to different foods in different ways. The whole idea of people talking about saying that, oh, intermittent fasting is the best, it's the answer to everything. And it's just, you just can't say that as a blanket statement, because for me, I need to eat very, very soon after waking up. I need to be eating very frequently every few hours. Some people are saying have just 3 big meals, and other people are saying snack throughout the day or have lots of smaller meals. It's better for your metabolism. But really, you've just got to do what's best for your body. And as I said, for me, I need to eat very regularly, every few hours. I need to eat. I get hungry and I feel my energy slip if I'm not eating. I feel my blood sugars, my blood pressure, everything drops if I'm not eating, if I'm not fed. I just need to be. And also too, on like a personal example, the idea of people saying that salt is bad, reduce your sodium, go for low sodium options and all that sort of stuff. Everyone just assumes that salt is bad. And like anything, it is only bad in excess. Our bodies need sodium. It is fundamental. And for me, I actually put salt on absolutely everything. I put salt in my water. I drink salt water. And why is that? Because I have chronic low blood pressure. So for me, sodium and excess salt is actually healthy, because if I limit my sodium, I literally will pass out. And that doesn't sound very healthy. So that's where you can't listen to these people that don't even know you. That's the whole thing that really gets me, is people online with no qualifications and just say to everyone, they treat it as a one size fits all approach, and they say something to someone and they don't have no idea of the way their body works or their medical history, and they just say you should be doing this. And it upsets me because so many people are so vulnerable and will listen to anything that anyone says, and it's so dangerous. And that's how eating disorders start. That's how people develop really bad relationships with food and view food as the enemy. And also too, I feel like diet culture, it can be really confusing, because on one hand you'll see some sides of, I guess going to refer to internet diet culture because I think that's where it's most prevalent. But you get some people are saying don't have fruit, it has too much sugar. And then some people are saying do these juice fasts or have a fruit only diet. And then you get some people saying fat's bad, have no fat diet, high carb, low fat, don't do that. And then other people are saying keto's the healthiest way, have only fats, don't have any carbs. And again, none of them are right or wrong. And I think it's just the whole idea of labeling your diet can be so harmful, because you tie yourself into a box. It's like if you say, no, I intermittent fast, I do not eat until midday, and you have that as a rule. But if one day it's 10 a.m. and you're starving and you're telling yourself, no, I can't eat until midday, you have it as a rule, and that's where it's an issue. Whereas if you're naturally just not hungry till later in the day, that's fine. Don't force yourself to eat first thing in the morning if you're not hungry, but then allow yourself to be like, well, no, if I am hungry earlier, I will eat earlier. Like, it's literally, I think it's people overthink food and diet too much when it's really pretty simple. Just listen to your body, and it takes a long time. It's the whole then idea of intuitive eating, and I think intuitive eating as itself is disordered. And let me explain. It's the idea of, again, going back to labels. If you're labeling your diet, even if it's intuitive eating, it's still somewhat disordered. People that genuinely don't have any disordered eating don't put a label on their diet. And I'm not talking about eating for ethical reasons. Obviously, there are ethical and religious reasons why people have certain restrictions or rules or guidelines around their diet. I'm not talking about that. Just wanted to say that before people come at me. But it's really that simple. Just listen to your body, honor it. And yeah, it does take a bit of practice for me to learn to listen to my body. When I was in recovery from my eating disorder, I had a meal plan, and I followed that for a long time because I had to teach my body that I am going to feed it. It doesn't need to go into starvation mode. It is going to get adequate nutrition. It is going to get whatever it's wanting. And it's just about trusting that process, and maybe feeling a bit uncomfortable, or sometimes maybe eating past the point of fullness, or eating maybe more than I would have initially liked to, or again, trying to learn for chocolate, going back to that example. Okay, maybe sometimes I did maybe slightly binge on chocolate, but again, the more I do it, it's after having, say if I binged, then the next day having chocolate again, and then I might binge again. But it's about trusting the process and knowing, okay, well, if I eat this chocolate or these fun foods every day, the desire, that intense desire, that burning feeling for it will go down. And it's just about trusting the process. And it's not an overnight thing, but it is so doable. And yeah, I kind of think I touched on everything I wanted to this episode. Probably listening back and editing it, I will realize I've left so much out. But message me on Instagram your thoughts around this, your experiences. I'm really interested to hear what you guys all think on this. And before I sign off, you know what time it is. It is time for Hannah's hot tip. When I get better at this, I want to get a little, jingle or sound effect or something, because I hear lots of podcasts I listen to have fun little sounds and stuff, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go. But today's hot tip, I want to tell you about, if you don't know, and obviously this is hard on an audio platform, but I need to tell you about a thing called a candle warmer. It is my absolute current favorite thing in the world. So I have one, and it looks like a little mini lamp. It is really cute. It is so pretty. And what you do is you turn it on like a lamp. It's got a warm light bulb, but you put your candle under it. And instead of directly lighting a candle and burning the flame, it just sort of melts the wax a little bit. So I find it makes my candles last so much longer, and you still get the beautiful smell of your candle. And it looks pretty too, because it is a little lamp. They're just so amazing. You can get them. I don't think there's one direct brand or whatever that does it. Just Google it. I think I got mine off Amazon or something. So I'll see if I can find mine or a similar one, and I'll put it in the show links or whatever if I can figure out how to do that. But yeah, if you literally just Google a candle warmer, you can get so many different designs. They are just such a fantastic thing. I just seriously love them so much. It is something I've gotten so many people onto it. I've told so many people about it. It is amazing for a gift as well. If you don't know what to get someone, it is something different. And yeah, so I'm going to sign off here, and I will, talk to you guys on Instagram and all that until I upload my next episode next week. So yeah, I still don't know how to sign off this, so I'm just going to say goodbye. Goodbye.